All right, hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are back from our holiday break for Star Trek Adventures Aegis. Tonight, I believe we are on episode 7, Escalation. So, with the start of a new adventure, we have a log to start us off. So, for that, we are going to the ship's captain. Colonel Sharp, please take it away.
Captain's log. Mako Colonel Lillian Sharp, August 1st, 2154. With the trouble at Zorn Station out of the way, we had spent that time since then continuing our patrol of the region. Chieftain Hogel has given his thanks. The station's always been available, even offered any assistance of his own if we were to need of strong arms. As a captain of a Starfleet vessel, I can only hope that we won't be needed. As a Mako, I can only hope I can afford such naivety. I hadn't seen any Nausicaans walking our corridors, but then again, I haven't left my stations all that much in the last few days. Maybe I'll ask Patel if we took any in. That said, while we certainly had garnered an ally from being a good Samaritan, it certainly didn't come without some cost. While we had ensured that they still managed their shipment schedule, though a bit tightly, having a Zogus corporation lose one of their rich minds certainly didn't make friends. I can hope that with the chieftain making a gesture toward the Tellarite government and proof of their previous employer's negligence would smooth some more cultural feathers. Such things take time, and even then, the Aegis has earned itself a long-time antagonist. I'd voice more concern with that, and there is some, but my experience with the Franklin and the stories regarding the Enterprise tells me that having such never do wells just is part of the trade. Ever since we arrived here in the Borminus Abyssal, the entire science department has been chomping at the bit to continue the survey that we came here for. Even one of the science officers had the courage while I was in the gym to just to try to slip in awkwardly at small talk with his friend about the curious properties the region had for research. If I could, I'd give him points for the boldness. And credit to the friend who had to quickly figure out what the hell his friend was talking about. Besides, it isn't like either of them knew that Patel tried to find a way of adding one potentially interesting curiosity about the region in every morning's briefing already. All of this became a concern of mutiny when command ordered the Aegis to switch priorities from scientific survey to patrolling the area in case of fallout due to the Zoran station. One that I am sure Patel might have considered, speaking only in jest, if not for the fact he was present to hear the transmission for himself. Thankfully, there's been little to no activity, but I'm happy to see the crew still conducting drills to exceptional degree just to be on the safe side. Which leads me to the big thing, the expedition proposal. I've been trying not to get my hopes up. After all, even with my veterancy amongst the Makos and a few missions already under my belt among Starfleet, I'm a little more than new fish in a big pond. What was it the captain once called me? An upstart 03? I know I'm young. I'm not a fool about that. But this proposal is a good idea, especially with everything that has been happening as of late. I feel like with all the tension that has grown in the last year, hell, even further back since the Zindi attack, there's been some sort of clock that started. One that we need to be smart about then just safe. We've demonstrated on multiple occasions that diplomacy and insight are a rare trait that are sorely needed in the frontier we find ourselves in, and it's something that we need to exploit more. Explore it's something we need to exploit more to keep our heads above the water. I haven't been vague about this proposal either. I've researched the logs of the Enterprise, tore out every bit from their Vulcan database that I can, superimposed and made every major or substitute charted route for this expedition that I've can, complete with supply expenditures and likely locations to recover anything we may need. I've talked with boomers, alien traders, contacts I've made as a Mako for safe and friendly ports that we can fall back towards or conduct repairs. I've asked Soren questions on certain areas or civilizations that have been mentioned by other sources. I've even talked. I even started to study a few languages that are likely to run across that the translator struggles to handle. It can be done, and I've done my best to make the proposal itself as much of a good argument as any. Hell, I've lost sleep to make it damn good at it. And I sent it. Now, much like the Aegis and its crew, it's just the wait.
All right. And with that, we join the Aegis out on the frontier on patrol, uh, alone amongst the stars for the time being, um, with the rhythm simple of this simple sentry mission that you are currently on. There is not much else to do but drill and dream, awaiting some change in the tempo of operations. It does, of course, grant you also a little bit of freedom or leeway in order to explore other pursuits. Generally, take a moment of rest, such as you may decide to do that. Let's kind of go down the line. We know what the Colonel is up to, but uh, let's kind of go down the list and see how others are working here. So we'll go in cast order here. So Craig, what do you think Lieutenant Shira might be up to on this particular day?
Guess if she's on duty, she'll be doing a series of drills for her various teams. A few combat drills in a cargo bay, and maybe some test runs of firing the phase cannons.
Certainly, certainly. Unfortunately, this far out into space, there's not much to run target practice with unless you decide to launch a few probes. And at that point, I imagine Commander Patel would be asking you to reduce the phase cannon power such that you are just basically playing what he might have referred to as a game of laser tag. Um,
Yeah, I guess the idea is to make sure everyone is alert still, since it's been a quiet time.
yes, yes, indeed. Going on down. Doctor, is there anything you would be doing? Any interactions you'd want to have with anyone in particular?
No, so I haven't got any
Okay.
thoughts.
All right. I presume then just the general sort of checking up on people, keeping the paperwork down.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
all right. Uh, Going further down the list, Brian, what do you think Romanov's been up to in this time?
Well, didn't we make some engine modifications, as I remember, or am I misremembering that?
I think there was some discussion of modifications, but I don't think that we wound up getting to anything concrete.
And
We
she's prepping for that because I believe the captain had requested that.
Okay.
yeah,
So,
we there was talks about it, some general approval, but we've been busy before getting to those modifications itself.
well,
Yep.
then she's been working on that and just making sure that the ship is ready for where we're going, additional supplies, emergency stuff, things like that. But if there's a little bit of lull, meaning that I don't have as much to do because things are running smoothly, then I'm prepping that and sending that preparation material to the captain and getting in things in place for that.
Okay. Would you want to make a scene out of any of this?
Yeah, I'll head on up to meet with the captain.
Oh, well, I was more pitching any work in engineering in order to see if you could crank a little
Oh
extra
yeah,
juice out of the engine. And on
yeah,
that note,
absolutely.
would anyone like to be in engineering to be a part of this? Either,
I'll bring Saral in.
uh, would you be up for
He's
that, Felix?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. In any case, Saral, your presence would have been requested as Commander Romanov sets about her tinkering with the engines. So we'll pick up with this first scene of the game in engineering, where you uh, or where the engineering room is busy as usual. The officers are monitoring their stations and checking on various diagnostic readouts. The door, uh, the manually operated one at the front of engineering, opens, and in walks Saral coming through the uh, archway. And yeah, this is where you find yourself.
Coffee?
No, thank you. I'm sufficiently awake. So, what do you have planned for today?
Well, okay. The skipper wanted us to get ready to upgrade and try to make the engines more effective. So I've slowly been working on that since things are a little quiet right now. I just wanted to get your opinion. You've turned out to be quite an asset to the ship, so let me know what you think. She hands you the data pad.
Well, what do I think? Can I make a roll for this?
Certainly, certainly, and I can roll up some sort of techno babble here in order to uh, help you rationalize this. If you would like me to spare any of the
You don't have to. It's probably something to do with the quantum flicks or magnetic field fluctuations.
I want to hear the techno babble. Please, techno babble.
Anyway, I guess go ahead and start us off with a let's call this insight and engineering here.
Okay, I'm away
Or
from
I would
keyboard for 1 minute while he's doing that.
That's quite all right.
uh,
I suppose reason would actually be more applicable, but I will permit the use of either one. All right, that is that is two successes on the on the dice there. So I don't believe I'd set a difficulty on this, but I would think that this is probably a difficulty 0, which does remind me, we do need to reset momentum from after this. So, first question, who would like to be designated momentum officer?
I'll do it.
All right, I will give you back the 2 momentum there. So I'll just make that a difficulty 0 and deal that out. Also, noting that this is the start of a new adventure, I am starting with my usual array of threat here, which, let's see.
please don't.
Oh, if only. But no. Saral, just reviewing the information on the pad, it seems like, as was in, there'd been previous discussions about reconfiguring the antimatter field, or rather the containment fields to uh, essentially shape slight bursts of antimatter at times. While it's probably been decided at this point that given the number you did on the Republic's engines a ways back, um, that maybe that was better to keep in the back pocket. Um, there's I'd be willing to say that with some time, there's probably been some ways spotted out that would allow you to strengthen the fields and keep them at a steadier rate, and thus give you a very marginal increase in um, sort of it allow you to push more matter and antimatter through to generate a stronger, more consistent reaction, and thus an extra bit of oomph basically when you are going to warp. It's probably not going to give you a full like tenth of a warp factor, but you might be able to go from the top speed at warp 5.5 to maybe maybe up to 5.55 or 5.6. It depends on how successful you are, and at this point, every little bit of speed helps.
Yeah, so I'll go through the data patterns. I mean, the theory looks sound. Just wondering if the engineering can keep up with it.
Well, that's why I wanted you here. She'll bring it up on one of the screens in her office. And what I want to do is, if that theory works, it could he make a science roll and then I make an engineering roll for the safety?
If the question were like, are you trying to determine whether this is sound? I think that I think that kind of already comes across with the theoretical constraints. I suppose it like if the question is, would this be safer to enact compared to say the like in terms of relative safety, because it's a consistent application of the containment field, or you're not basically overclocking the engine in spurts. This is probably it's not as likely to like damage the engine or anything worse. Um, it may just mean that like uh, there's a slight starting power expenditure that's maybe a little more significant than what you were doing, but
Okay.
like the way that the containment fields are being modified and layered should blunt most of that, and you'll make up that power really quickly anyway.
Well then, Saral, if you think this is solid, I'm going to go ahead and forward it to the captain. And then once we get the approval, I'd like to have you down here to help out.
Sure, do my pleasure.
Okay.
Just make sure to mention that it was your idea and you forward it to the captain. Feel he's more acceptable if it's yours.
You weren't even involved with this. I'm just using you as a wrench. Please.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
Just want to avoid any undue suspicion.
That's understandable. So, okay, I'll forward it up to the boss.
Okay. So I guess in that case, let us, it would make sense to go up to the bridge here. So, Captain, I'll obviously have you at your post.
Yep.
And then, let's see, I guess, Shira, technically you could also be here if you wished. You could be monitoring any drills that are going on, or just at your duty station.
Sure.
Okay, so let's move everyone to their respective positions. Relatively quiet day on the bridge. And here, now everyone else should see that. Mr. Crichton is standing at the comms like, oh, sir, I'll have a pad for you in just a moment. It seems Romanov's Commander Romanov is ready with the main reports here, or the engineering report.
Huh?
We
Good. Been waiting what happened to that suggestion.
yes. I feel like no, I suppose it makes sense.
Something on your mind, Crichton?
Oh, I was just wondering what happened to the yeomen. They usually bring up the reports here. Perhaps the GM hasn't devised that character yet. Oh dear.
I thought you found a cure for the meta-speak.
It's a small enough ship.
Perhaps they've fallen ill with meta-speak.
It's a small enough ship, Crichton. I doubt there's really a use for a yeoman unless absolutely necessary.
So
out of characters, like what, a crew of like 80?
150 actually.
150. Yeah. Okay. There should be probably should be a yeoman.
Yes.
It's just one yeoman.
Yep. While that's going on, Patel says, So long as it doesn't interfere with this next sensor sweep here, I'm just about to. Uh, I'm testing out some modifications that the science team made to the long-range sensors. See if we can get a look out a bit further. Find something interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not all doing the occasional cursory thing that might pop up in a sensor or two to get a small smile.
Oh no, never. Not by all means. I mean, if we should happen to find something, I may as well report it, and maybe we go take a look. He can't help but grin quite a bit.
Yeah. Certainly, I'd keep under advisement. She grins a bit further.
Crichton's hand goes to his earpiece. Sir, I'm receiving a message. Joint Command. It's General Casey.
She stands. It's like she straightens herself up and dusts off her uniform. And
Non-urgent, but it's a channel directed for you. Do you want me to patch it through to your ready room, Captain?
she like works her shoulder a little bit. Yeah, take my ready room. Patel. She gets up and gestures to the seat.
Oh.
And leaves the ready room.
As
she walks away and hears that groan, she says, "The space is literally not going anywhere."
Patel kind of just frowns a bit as you walk through the door, and is like, he looks over to you, Shara. Lieutenant, space is pretty empty here. If you wanted to keep the seat warm for me.
Okay.
I mean, technically, due to the expansion of the universe, isn't space moving? So is it actually?
Shut up.
The matter's moving within space as space expands.
Now, let's get not technically.
Nerds.
Anyway.
Yes.
So what? So is Patel trying to shuffle the con over to?
Yeah, basically. This might have happened a couple times at this point, Shira, where you've been on duty. Patel has been perfectly willing to give you to generate the occasional excuse to allow you to take the con while he continues what he sees as more important work.
The nerd work, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so with that, you man the. You have the con, which for a quaint Earth ship, it's not a bad chair. Certainly not a bad seat in the house. As this is going in, Colonel, you grab your seat in the ready room, and the in this case the inverted, I believe it's the inverted triangle sort of logo that comes with the Military Assault Command Organization, or MACO, as so many know it, is on your screen and at the ready.
She makes sure that she is crisp before tapping the accept.
All right.
I mean, it's the Mako's. Like, you gotta look fucking nice.
Yep. And upon pressing the accept button, the screen opens, and before you, you see one of the higher ranking officers in Mako, indeed the most senior below General Sutherland, one General Casey. He himself is by far the crisp would be the word that describes that would seem to describe this man when he gets out of the bed in the morning, although you could just as easily mistake it for a plastic box that he comes pre-packaged in. Pretty much a Mako ready to fight, if it were, or as it were. or salute, conduct parade maneuvers. There's not a wrinkle to this man's uniform, nor hair out of place in his perfectly buzz-cut hairdo. There are a few medals denoting honors and other like conduct. Mako has not had many opportunities for conflict, save for a few colonial skirmishes for General Casey's day. The most recent of those might have been from an experience out in Alpha Centauri back in the 2140s. But yeah, he is otherwise, just otherwise very much in order. With sitting in a room with a window view where sunlight is coming through, you imagine. Since Joint Command has been steadily transitioning into some sort of shared setup, that the light is coming from San Francisco back on Earth.
She stands straight, rigid, and just nods, sir.
At ease, Colonel. This isn't a ceremonial detail or inspection of any sort, and well, we're light years apart, so you may as well get comfortable.
She gets comfortable, about 2/3 of an inch comfortable, but this is a Sutherland, which is get comfortable means nothing. So yeah, she gets a little comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, it is good to see you, Colonel. I don't believe we've actually had the pleasure properly, but Colonel Edison has sung your praises on more than one occasion, so I have no doubt things are in good hands. How is duty aboard a Starfleet vessel treating you?
To be honest, sir, it's a bunch of civilians, but I seem to made it into a tight ship, and something that would definitely earn your approval, I'd hope.
Well, I have no doubt. I've been reviewing your after-action reports, and it seems like you're doing quite a bit with that polite bunch of scientists you've got out there. And although it does help to have some Makos aboard, and that the guardswoman under your care. Oh.
They've all been, if anything, if I can be honest, sir. For permission to speak, rather.
Colonel, as always, I ask for no bullshit assessments, so speak your mind.
Certainly, what they've chosen for Starfleet has impressed me considerably. I think Mako has misjudged just how serious and committed these individuals are, and I can't think of a better crew.
I'll consider that a ringing endorsement, and certainly their performance, I have to concede, has been quite exemplary. Well, I must say, on to the matter at hand. He gestures to a pad that he lifts from his desk. I would also give some commendation to you on these matters. It's quite the proposal. Inventive thinking, initiative. That's the sort of mind that would go a long way in command in future years. I have to appreciate, too, the level of detail you brought to this. An expedition of this scale, it's ambitious, and, well, it seems like you studied up quite a bit.
She nods. I didn't want to give some half-assed idea, sir. It wouldn't be right for any Mako. You've taught us to speak clearly, speak on point, and certainly that's what I've done.
Yes. Well, I appreciate your initiative, and I hope you continue to show more initiative in the future as we consider other additional missions in the future. And I hope that you continue to bring it to your current assignments. At this time, however, we are electing not to pursue this expedition.
There is a micro expression as she just sort of like tightens the back of her jaw a little bit. Sir, if I may ask the reason?
Well, reason's pretty plain, Colonel. While we do we do share some of the assessments in the proposal, specifically the long-term threat of the Klingons, they're at quite a considerable distance, and well, any force of scale that would be a threat to Earth would require moves through half a dozen other powers of modest to considerable strength. The Rigelians, the Axonari, heck, even the Vulcans and Andorians would probably come in their way before the Klingons ever made a major strike to Earth. They are a long-term threat, but not part of our immediate concerns right now. For most of the colony worlds, the greater concern right now are honestly raiders, pirates along the different routes, the Orions and Ossicans, any residual threats from the Zindi, the Tellarite presence, which obviously you are currently monitoring, and well, hell, frankly, even the change in the Vulcan posture with Alpha Centauri. This is the most significant blowback we've had in several years, combined with the incident over at Pajam. Our relations with the Vulcans aren't quite as sound as they used to be. This point, go ahead, please.
Excuse me, sir, but isn't that even more reason to have this expedition, to seek out more allies, more diplomatic relations with races that, if anything, the Vulcans have spent the last 2 or 3 decades discouraging us from any conversation with. Even the Vulcan database has relegated most of those races as inconsequential, and little to no detail afterwards. I have had to pick every mind, ear, and soul out here just to get even the information that you have in that report. I think having proper relations, or even just a dialogue with these civilizations, could be a benefit both economically as well as diplomatically and militarily as well.
In the long run, perhaps, but well, for now, frankly, the Samuels administration is concerned with building up ties with the peoples that we've already met, and indeed the ones that we still need to meet. There still hasn't been proper diplomatic contact with the Tellarites, although we have an imminent mission ready to fix that. I'll say this much for the your ship's former captain. Anthony Barton may have bungled the Centauri crisis, but well, Captain Jeffries, he's quite the intrepid go-getter when it comes to getting our building program underway. Columbia should be due to be launched within 10 days at this point, and they're getting the first diplomatic mission to Tellar Prime. But otherwise, there's still plenty of contacts that we could foster, and well, even before that, we need to work up on building the fleet even further. We only have a handful of ships at this point that are capable of making such an expedition, and frankly, they're better off left as a response force to any sort of crisis here. It's enough that we've got one of our best out on constantly out on close to 50 and 100 light year distance. Until Columbia's out, Enterprise is the fastest we've got, and it just doesn't make sense to dispatch ships. Frankly, Colonel, I'm of the school of thought that until we can credibly actually kick the asses of some of the people that we are going to potentially encounter. I think that the "we come in peace" sentiment rings a little bit hollow. Don't you agree?
She takes a moment and then nods. Yes, sir. However, I should make it aware to you, and I'm sure you are aware yourself, that we're certainly playing catch up, and one that further exploration and further diplomatic ties can help even the scales with technological basis.
Yes, and perhaps with a bit of time, we'll be able to venture out further. Build up
Every
our.
time, every time he says, in a little bit of time, like the back of her jaw locks up a little bit. But continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Further our trade ties with the Ithanites, the Catharians. Build up relations with them, the Dralaxi, the Axanar, and well, maybe while we're at it, try to patch things up with Vulcan and make contact with the Tellarites if we can develop some sort of order or understanding that's marginally more peaceful. Maybe even reach a point of mutual understanding, or if Samuels gets his way, trade talks and even a defense pact or two. Then we could send you out on maybe a. We could afford to send you out on this expedition. Make it a 2-year mission, 3 if you're lucky. But right now, I appreciate the sentiment here, but no one here at Mako was going to go for anything of the sort.
Understood, sir.
But in the meantime, if as other updates come, we will dispatch them. Any additional orders? Until then, you're to maintain your patrol route along the Tellarite frontier. We understood.
Yes, sir. She gives a nod.
All right. Joint command out.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, the screen reverts to the inverted triangular logo of the Makos.
She does not move, staring at the screen for about like a minute. Sucks in her breath. Looks over at the small pile of books and pads that she has on her desk, and just swipes it across them to the floor. Idiots. Blind, naive idiots. That's it. That's all I got for that scene.
Okay. So let's move it back to the bridge here. The events of the room over, any break in the calm or anything you would understand from anything like that, you all remain oblivious to, and indeed elsewhere on the ship. As Shira, you are enjoying your moment at the con. Yeah, I guess, is there anything you would wish to do in this moment here?
Reduce the temperature of the bridge by a couple of degrees.
The temperature, cool air begins to circulate through the bridge as captain's prerogative. You have I imagine that there's a small thermostat type thing around that section. You have a little wiggle room.
A little better.
Patel
Still blazing hot, I imagine.
Patel will call back out. I'm gonna regret giving you the con, aren't I?
Why would you regret that?
I'm a little more used to a little warmer. Although I guess winters in Heidelberg weren't that bad.
I'm sure winters in Heidelberg were nice and warm.
He kind of looks up and turns back to you, just momentarily baffled, but then remembering who he's talking to before turning his head back into the sort of visor type, or the looking glass element of the scanner where he places his eyes like directly in to look through something. And he will conduct.
The temperature of the room's still in double digits.
Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. I'm just going to go ahead and roll sensors and science. Well, not quite enough for to generate momentum, but enough to find what he needs here. Oh wait, actually, with technical expertise, I believe.
What's up?
Oh, well, I just realized that Patel has the what is it? The technical expertise talent.
Ah,
Oh, that is just re-rolling a
he
d20,
is
which
a
includes
nerd.
the ship die.
He is a nerd.
Yes, Patel is very much a nerd. But he does get to re-roll the ship die as well, so still no help. Well, at least the advanced sensor suites are coming into play here. So he looks through the sensors and then... Shira, give me just a difficulty 1 insight and command. Okay, well, you have rolled 2
A 1 and a
successes.
20.
Yep. Oh, polar opposites there. So, with 2 successes, that does give you another point of momentum. However, the 20 is a critical failure, which means for that complication, you have 3 choices. You may, 1, buy that off with the 2 points of momentum, 2, give the GM a point of threat, or 3, accept a narrative complication. What would you prefer?
I'm feeling narrative today.
Okay, that should work. You do notice Patel instantly go very stiff as he's looking through the sensors, and he lingers for a few moments as he's focusing on something very abruptly, or like very carefully, and then he jerks his head back. Shira, Crichton, somebody get the captain now. Shit.
Captain to the bridge.
Get to tactical.
I'll hop over to tactical.
Okay.
At that moment, the captain was pacing aggressively in a ready room and snaps out of whatever fugue state she was in and just walks back on the bridge. What's going on?
Captain, warp signatures inbound. 6, correction 6, high warp, all Tellarite.
Set to condition red.
Condition red.
Crichton pushes a button and then calls out on the comms. Action stations, all hands.
Action stations, whatever. She says.
All hands set to condition alert red.
Thank you.
Polarizing hull plating, bringing weapons online.
Klaxon begins to blare. Sir,
Ship classes? Looks over to Patel.
Difficult to tell at this range, but energy signatures are consistent with cruisers. Seems like they are pounding away with sensors. They're very likely to have already seen us.
All right. Shira, I need you to have your, for the moment, weapons down. Or actually, before that, Patel, are there gun ports open?
Still I can't tell from this range. They're still at least a light year or so out. Man, they are coming in relatively fast. We may be able to get away, but they are. I'd put them up at about warp 4.3, 4.45 perhaps.
Conley, get us the hell out of here. Max warp.
Don't have to tell me twice. Conley,
She switched over to engineering. Engineering, Romanov, I need as much you can in the engine right now.
Got it. Do you need a roll for me?
we might I guess if you want to try and assist with some engine with the engine upgrades, then I will allow you to roll in tandem with the ship here.
Great. Can Saral assist because he's in my office?
Well, so technically this is Connolly who's taking the lead role because he has to escape. This is him going to warp. You would be assisting on top of the ship basically to see if you can push the warp drive a little bit further. So I'm granting a slightly more of a basically in normal circumstances it would just be Connolly and the ship, but because you've been working at a task that's relevant to this, I'm giving you the chance to add one additional assist here.
Great. I'll do that. So just roll one die, right?
Yep. And this would be, let's see. Since you've been working at it for a fair bit, I will allow you to roll control and engineering.
Okay, and complication range is 1.
Yes.
Okay. Control.
Is that with or
Engineering.
without the engine modification?
This is with the this is using that.
Oh, we're going to live experiments. I like the cut of your jib.
This is how it goes in Starfleet.
Yep.
Let's see. I have warp field dynamics. May I? Yeah, you can't apply a focus to an assist, right?
Let's see.
I think you
yeah,
can.
so focus would still apply on an assist.
Okay, so I'm applying that warp field dynamics because that's what we'd be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and roll.
Okay. Oh no, Connolly has rolled.
No,
he
gets 2. He gets
Yeah.
two momentum. We don't have time for that shit.
Okay, so Connolly has rolled 2 successes, but he has also rolled a complication. Romanov has rolled a
Hold on,
0.
that didn't get the focus. So let me just.
Well, it would not
No, it
have.
wouldn't matter. The focus just turns your skill points into the critical range.
Okay,
So-
great.
Yes, that it basically allows for you to gain a critical range equal to your discipline. So it was not a 1 through 5, so it wouldn't have been affected. Would somebody roll for the ship with, I believe, engines and con?
Sure, I'll do it.
I don't know if that's applicable right now or maybe later, but can I, how do I phrase this? Like on safety duty, to make sure that whatever we're pushing this doesn't blow up the entire engine? If not, maybe if that comes in play later, that's fine too. I was just wondering, that's probably where Soral's mind is going when everything is
For
on
narrative
fire.
For narrative purposes, we can say that that is what you are working on. It wouldn't express itself in a particular role at this moment.
That's fine.
Okay. So improved warp drive. What the frick does that do?
Basically, so this gets into one other moment. In going to warp, you do expend power. In particular,
So
going to
it
maximum
makes
warp.
it cheaper. It makes warp cheaper.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm both partly because
6.
we do this so rarely, where it's an urgent issue. I'm going back to consult the specific rules on power expenditure with this.
In any case, just rolling. There we go. That's 3, and we're spending 2 momentum to get rid of that freaking critical failure.
Yep. And I believe so for Connolly's task anyway, that would. I'm going to double check how much you actually get back from this, Shira. So let's see. This should just be a simple control and con roll with a difficulty of 1. So with the 3 total successes, you actually get those momentum right back.
Neat.
Oh, nice.
All right. So Connolly is going to basically use the maneuvering thrusters to adjust the Aegis's orientation very quickly, and then just steadily raise the throttle. Ahead of you on the view screen, the stars momentarily tremble before the flash of color indicates that the warp bubble is formed, and ahead of you, the stars are streaking as fast as you've ever seen them.
The captain look over to Crichton. Crichton, I need to send a priority message to Starfleet Command, and give them everything you have about the situation.
Sending now. Connolly looks to the indicator on speed. Warp 1, warp 2, warp 3, 3.8, 3.9. We're over warp 4 now. 4.1, 4.2. There's the beginnings of a rattle in the deck plates.
She mutters under her breath as she grips the side of her chair, or the arms of her chair. Come on, you rust bucket. Just come on. You can do it.
3.4, 3.5, warp 3.6, 3.7. Come on, it pushes it a little more. Up to warp 4 now. 4.2, 4.5. He goes on, and as the deck starts to rattle a bit more, you hear a slight shaking.
She'll look over to Patel on the astral bodies, nebulas, stars. Give me something to park this thing, even just for a little bit.
Our best guess would be trying to make it back through the around the abyssal, the Bramus abyssal.
How far?
I'll begin charting a course. He looks over to navigation, sending info to star maps your way. Warp 4.5. Warp 4.5, 1.52. Holy shit. We're holding steady at warp 4.54, sir.
All right, let's keep it there, Conley.
There's the steady rattling continues. You find yourself thankful, Captain, that you are not partial to having beverages mounted on the station. Otherwise, you'd be fearful it might rattle off.
Yeah.
Captain's chair needs a cup holder.
You're not.
They need seatbelts. And we don't get those for another 300 years.
And a deleted scene, no less.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, you continue. You're continuing at present. You're continuing at the present speed here. Patel is going between that and looking through his scanner here. Let's see.
Are they pursuing?
Oh, they're definitely still on roughly the same heading as us, Captain.
Are they gaining?
Oh. No, we're actually beginning to put a very slight bit of distance. I haven't adjusted speed yet.
She switches over to engineering. Romanov, how long can you hold this?
How long can I hold it?
Check the Roll20 chat there.
Okay. Hold on. In general, or where did you put it?
Roll20. It's in the Roll20 chat.
It's in the Roll20. Okay. 2 hours.
She just swears under her breath and kind of rubs her temple. Any way you can extend that?
Do I think I can extend it?
If you pitch me a way to extend it, then I'm if you give me your best Treknobabble on that.
Could I put some power into our batteries and store it there to sort of augment and take the heat off the engines?
No, I imagine part of it's just the warp field.
Could I change the shape of the warp field to make it a little bit more efficient?
Does the Aegis have a deflector dish yet? Or is that not a thing?
It does.
So the deflector dish on the Aegis is actually integrated into the primary hull.
Can we hijack that to increase the stability of the warp bubble?
I would be receptive to say justifying a little more power in the pushing a little more power into the deflector in order to try and reinforce the warp bubble. Which, Saral, you could totally
power from our weapon systems.
If anyone wants to pitch, you can all do this pretty much in character, since people are on the comms there, and that is totally a Star Trek thing to do.
A question: maintaining the 2 hours of speed at this, is that an issue of how much energy the system can handle flowing over that period of time? Is it an output issue, or is it a stability issue with the warp field itself?
So, I mean, all of that does kind of come into play.
Could I use the power systems? Because I'm very good with power systems. Could I essentially try to make the power system more effective by, reinforcing the fields that support the power system?
You mean like the containment fields, or?
Yeah. Could I make those more effective?
Well, I mean, they're already kind of doing that. I think where power is concerned, it's more a matter of sustaining the warp field in and of itself. I guess it does kind of lend itself more into stability, which can either you'd need to find a way to refine the warp field, putting more power in to sort of force it into the sufficiently static shape that it sustains itself.
Trying to keep it more consistent power in there, because we're basically putting everything in the engines, and we're holding it for now. But it's the ship is just old. The engine is all relatively not designed for this kind of pressure. But we're trying to push. We're trying to crank it into the red. Actually, we already are cranking into the red, and we're trying to maintain it in the red without it burning down, giving up or whatever.
So the field is generated by those bands that are within the warp drive itself. Are those going to overheat in 2 hours?
I think that I think it would be more an issue that the warp field would start to it would just be difficult to keep the warp field strong enough within the 2-hour frame or stable enough. Past that, that you are right to guess that the warp coils, pushing them past a certain point, they would probably start to melt at some point or otherwise sustain damage. But that's more like a 5-hour problem, or maybe 4 hours if you're not so lucky.
What about changing the field in such a way that changing the beat or the tempo of the energy to kind of give the system a little breathing room? Meaning it's not enough to alter the speed or slow us down, but it gives the engines a little bit of a break, just by, maybe modulating the amount of power going out, and at the same time trying to stabilize the field. Is that
Can
fine?
we? Can this idea?
I
Can we?
kind of have the idea. It's basically we're going to 4.54 and then 4.53 and then 4.54 and just
No.
modulate.
I'm talking about the energy output. Energy is heat in a system. So when you put heat on engines, you get problems. So if the engine is already moving at a consistent speed, I'm just talking about could I modulate energy output to the nasteels to give them a little bit of a break, right? That's what I was throwing out as an idea. And I do not know as a player whether that is possible or not.
I mean, it's sci-fi tech. Who the fuck knows? It could.
Yeah.
Right.
My challenge to you was to give me your best Treknobabbly sort of thing. So I think that would work there.
Okay.
But let's see. That being said, just so that we are tending to this bit of housekeeping, you jumped to about warp 5.54. For our purposes, I'm treating this as, or rather for the power expenditure, because it is 1 point for every warp factor that you engage in. This would be 4 points of power. Before you expend that, however, because the ship has an improved warp drive as a Pathfinder vessel, you do get to roll 4 challenge dice. And for every effect that you roll, those points of power are not spent.
Okay. Who wants to roll? Should I roll it since I'm the captain or the engineer? What do we do? Who wants to roll the shit?
I'll roll it this time. This is happening down in engineering. Okay,
Yep.
Challenge dice.
So
I'm looking at the sheet. I just put 4 in challenge dice.
yes, and then press enter first before you click the roll button. That way it will recognize that there are 4 dice there.
Okay, I see it recognizes there's 4 dice. And right. I'm going to go ahead and roll that. Is there anything I can do to modify that?
I don't believe so. It's just that's just the ship talent for.
Okay. Is it essentially getting its scale?
No, it's the way that the improved warp drive talent works. For every point of power that is spent, you can roll that number of challenge dice, and for every effect that you roll on those, you don't spend those points of power. Now with those 4 dice, Romanov, you have rolled 1 effect, so that point of power will not be spent. However, that's still 3 points of power from the Aegis's reserves.
When does this power cycle, by the way?
I think that depending on the circumstance, if we stay really focused on it, then it would be a task to regenerate that power. Otherwise, I think that if enough time were to elapse, narratively speaking, I'd be willing to allow that to just steadily restore.
All right.
Treat it like we're supposed to treat momentum in a scene, where it steadily comes back. But probably not while you are at high warp.
No, probably not.
Yep. So, yeah. Romanov, you have some ideas, though, between yourself and Saral. Things have been pitched around. At this point, Collar says, Captain, if we want to try and put the Abyssal between us and the Tellarites, I can make a course correction now, and we're basically taking a bit of a little bit of a hard right, but maybe if we're lucky, things will. Just saying, it'll be bumpy.
Patel, any closer? Anything closer? Anything at all?
Afraid not. The nearest ones are back the other direction. A couple binary pair. There's a binary star system at least 4 light years out, but I'll.
She just nods and just switch to the ship wide. This is the captain. Everyone brace as we make a hard right. Conley.
Connolly begins inputting the course correction. All right, and mark. And unfortunately, there's no good way to express this in tabletop or in the tabletop with the overlay. Not that I've figured out yet. Maybe in the future. But if you want an adequate idea of what happens, then just everybody watching and playing, shift to your right. 3, 2, 1, mark. Congrats! You've all been part of a. You're part of the typical Trek like camera sort of thing.
Shimmy and shake. Yeah.
Yes. Technically, I guess I should have had you shift to the left, but oh well. Why are you listening to some man on Twitch? That's on you. Anyway, but yes, there's kind of an abrupt shift as people all throughout the ship are kind of sent every which way for a moment. And as Connolly makes the rather high adjustment, the Daedalus class wasn't meant to turn on a dime at warp, but here you are. Thankfully, it's a rugged ship. Patel looks to her sensors. I don't think they're changing course at the moment. So if they're pursuing, then they haven't made any moves yet.
She nods, leans back against her chair. All right. I'd recommend anybody at the current moment, if they need some sort of recuperation, do it now. We have all 2 hours before we start having concerns. She just notifies the bridge.
Okay, yeah.
Food, naps, drinks, whatever you need.
Would you be going down to? Would you be stepping down to like a condition yellow status then?
No. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't. I'm letting the bridge. You know what? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll switch it to yellow. Just switch to condition yellow.
Yeah, we'll say just as rationale that you continue on this course, but the Tellarites they do not make an adjustment in their heading, so at which point the seeming intercept vector you were on is long since off. So it seems more likely than not that they are not pursuing you, and you are set for a while. We can allow for saying like maybe an hour passes where you are proceeding.
Yeah, I would want to make sure that we are far enough away that even at our standard cruising warp, we can get away with time to spare. Yeah. Now that we're aware.
Yep. So at this point, I will elect to say that. Well, I'll tell you what. I will give Patel one follow-up scan here. Let's see. If somebody would care to roll for the ship's sensors and science here. Call this a difficulty 2 roll, which is reduced by the advanced sensor suites to a difficulty of 1. Patel scores a single success, which is enough to meet. And the ship rolls 2 successes, which gives you 2 bonus momentum. So about an hour in after high warp and with a course adjustment, Patel finds that, looks at his scanners. Colonel, I think they're adjusting course. They're still relatively closer than they were, but they appear to be making a course correction and reducing speed. Put them a course running parallel to our own, but inversely, it seems. No, wait, no. Strike that last. They're moving parallel to our own.
All right. Switch over to condition yellow. Let's everyone take a break. Romanov.
Yeah.
I like you to take a break after you check on the engines.
Checking on them now.
Connolly says, do you want me to keep my foot on the pedal here, as it were, Captain? Or
Let's ease back to cruising speed, Connolly.
copy that. Pulling us down to warp 3, sir.
There's a small smile and shake of her head. It's more depreciating smile and shake of her head. And then give it about another hour or two, and then Connolly, I need you to take a break too.
Will do.
Just get a quick bite.
Sir, message coming back from command. Admiral Forrest for you.
I'll take in the ready room.
All right.
Patel with me. Shira, you're on the con.
I have the con.
It's like, yeah, I wish under different circumstances, Patel said, as just under his breath as he passes you by. But anyway, this we are going to time skip for, and we'll be running a scene in the ready room here. For everybody else, I gather Romanov and Saral wanted to take a look at the engines. Does anybody else have anything that they want to do at this point?
Maybe reduce the temperature of the bridge by another 1 or 2 degrees.
Wow, Shira. Right now? Seriously?
It's saving energy, isn't it?
The coup begins.
Yes. Well, a couple small scenes here while we are, while everything's getting set up. One, I think, would be a quick look down into sick bay, where Lambeth, thankfully, most of sick bay was secure for that little run, or rather the hard turn that you had to take. However, a few people were not quite so lucky, and we find you at this point seeing Chief Justice take a quick limp in and holding his wrist. Doc, sorry to bother you. I don't suppose you got something to help keep me tight here? Oh.
I've got plenty of things that could help keep you tight. You're gonna have to be a bit more specific.
Yeah, well, I guess it's more turn of phrase and.
Nope, you died there, Mizak.
Oh no, I died. And
oh well, that's guess I can't help him anymore.
Oh no.
Someone else's department now.
Let's see. How am I? Am I coming in okay?
You're coming okay
Yeah.
now, but you're kind of like waffling a little bit.
Sorry about that. Well, I will try to remember to fix things here at the hour 33 mark on the, well, not the recording, but all right, I will try to remember that's the hour 23 mark. Okay. Yeah. Chief Justice comes in and is like, well, old Chief Justice is just busy conducting a little bit of maintenance. I was trying to get the displays the way I like them a little better, but I seem to have I got caught in the console as I was coming down, and rather I slipped to the floor, but my hand stayed up. I sprained my wrist. Just something to help deal with the pain there.
Right, yeah. I can help you with that.
Much appreciated. I don't much like to bother you, but Chief Justice also doesn't much like to get jerked around. Not when he's not in the pilot seat, anyway.
Can I understand that? And you'll have trouble jerking anything around if your wrist is dodgy.
Oh my. Chief Justice appreciates
Just
your
in general,
concern.
joysticks and stuff in the cockpit.
Yes, let's
You
say
know, all
that.
that jazz.
Yes.
So you want a hand?
I've got one. I just want it to work properly. Thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Yep.
Yep.
Do you want me to roll something, or can I just hand him some painkillers?
I will allow you to bypass the awkward encounter of having to administer something with rather than having to use any equipment to help him with it. You can just give him some ibuprofen and send him on his way.
I mean, I should probably check him out and do a proper medical thing. It's not
Yeah.
like I've got much else to do.
Fair enough. Tell you what, I'll just ask you, give me just a brief control medicine.
Gotcha.
Somebody else will conduct a quick scan with you just to give him the things. Like basically he's looking like he just had a few he took a couple bumps and bruises and maybe twisted his wrist a little bit. Quick application of some bit of techno MacGuffinry with the medical equipment, and you repair whatever damage was done to the wrist and give him give him like a pill or two for the pain. It's like, much appreciated, Doc.
Yeah, not a problem. Come see me if anything happens to your other wrist.
I'll do that. In case there's anything that's afflicted, you know, I'm sorry, I got nothing witty. Don't suppose.
Yeah, no. I'm kind of running out too. How are things going on the rest of the ship? Because being chased.
Well, the captain did tell everyone to brace beforehand, but I think they were better situated than I was. The main, well, I think everybody's just a little scared or concerned. I'm still not entirely sure who or like why we had to make that run, but rumor mill's already started. Some are saying it's the Tellarite. Some are saying it's Suliban. I think what was it? Uh, Specialist Cross said something about there maybe being a Klingon ship, and there's at least a couple Makos speculating we might have Zindi on us. Who's to know?
Yeah, well, whoever it is, I'm sure we can handle them, right?
I hope so. Of course, the other stories you hear out in space, there could be any number of other crazy things out there. Giant green hands reaching out and grabbing you, or um, wormholes that open up and send you.
Yellow hands reaching out and grabbing you. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I even heard one ancient legend of a great bird of the galaxy that burst into flames from destroying an entire planet and flying out into deep space, never seen again. Yeah. Boomers say the weirdest shit, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Doc, I got you covered. I guess if you hear anything about what's actually going on, you'll let good old Chief Justice know.
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
He gives you he lowers his sunglasses a bit and makes like direct eye contact with you.
See you around, but hopefully not too soon, right?
Yeah. I'll try not to do anything with this wrist that warrants me coming back.
That's a good man.
Yep. He'll leave. He'll give you like finger guns on the way out and just get on the move. That inscrutable but cool exterior that he has. So yeah, elsewhere, engineering, where Romanov and Saral, you are the ones that happen to be around, picking up the pieces very steadily. An hour after that pursuit seemed to start, the bridge has now ordered that you go down to cruising speed, which gives everybody a moment to breathe. People that were just staring at displays can now afford to actually start conducting at least a little bit of maintenance. In particular, if you wish to regenerate power, that is also an option now.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I will say, while you were doing this, Saral, you had a chance to look over the stability of the containment fields in this. It does seem as though they actually held up pretty well, and the principle could be pushed even further if only the ship were able to take it.
Is there something we can do about that, or is that like a more general technology improvements are necessary?
At some point, somebody's probably going to have to rebuild the whole warp engine. This is a modified version of the older design. From what you can tell, this reactor is pretty much a first generation version of the ones where Earth transitioned from using just like basically.
Yeah, I mean it's a terrible concept. Way much more sense to put it like vertically.
Yeah.
Have it maybe glow a bit more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, Earth is they probably only just in the past couple decades switched over to a dilithium mediated antimatter reaction. Everything beforehand was pretty much fusion reactors spiked with antimatter at this point. That's how they started getting ships that could go faster than Warp 2. And even then, they still only managed that like in the past 15, 20 years, something like that. So this reactor still needs work, but it might be better suited to a dry dock, quite frankly. So let's see. For power management, I think this would be I think right now it would qualify as a control and engineering task with a difficulty of 2, although since you are in main engineering right now, that difficulty would go down by 1. So for your success, you would gain a point of power if you are able to, plus 1 additional point per momentum that you spend for this. So that is for whenever you're ready to take those rolls.
Who's rolling? Romanov?
Oh,
I'm curious.
I thought so.
Who's rolling?
That would make the most sense.
Yeah, Romanov.
Oh no, she died.
Oh,
hello?
Hello.
No. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you please repeat?
Oh, I was just saying that when you are ready, the task to manage the power systems and begin restoring your reserves would be it would be a control and engineering task. It would generally be a difficulty of 2, but working from engineering, that task goes down to a difficulty of 1.
Control, engineering?
Yes.
And I have electroplasma power systems as a focus.
Yep, the focus would apply.
Okay, great. And I'm rolling 2 dice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and yeah, Romanov rolls 3 successes there, so that gives you 2 over what you needed to do. Saral, you may also assist if you want to, with the same roll here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Well, no help there, but you do still, at least overall, you've managed to generate some momentum there, specifically 2 points. So just offhand, Romanov, you do, by succeeding at the task, you restore 1 point of power to the ship, and then you may gain additional points of power by spending momentum, which you've generated 2 in order to, or you've generated 2 with the successes on the task that you rolled.
So we gain 2 power or 2 momentum.
For frame of reference, you are currently at 5, so if you wanted to bag one of those points, then that could still go into your pool, or you could put the 2 points of momentum into power, and
Let's
that,
just
I
max
think
out.
that,
Let's
yeah.
just fill it out. Do that. Let's fill out the power. We're back at 6.
Okay, and Brian, I don't know if you can hear us. We are having trouble hearing you, or like, if you're responding, I can't hear you.
I'll go ahead and repeat. I had a little trouble with connection. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right.
What did you need me to do?
I was just asking, since you succeeded on the task, did you want to use that momentum to just fully restore power, or...
Absolutely, yes. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and fully restore power.
All right, so power levels steadily, or rather the reserves steadily begin climbing back up. It will take some time as you begin to take surplus power from the antimatter reaction and put it back into reserves. Yeah, you notice that the upgrades that you put into the engine did seem to work pretty well. Um, you know, you'd still like to push it faster, but the way the ship is rattling, you're not certain whether that's the best idea. But yeah, you, Saral, and the engineering team have managed to push the ship pretty hard, given that you didn't have much time to test things.
How much time do we have before? How much more of the time do we have before they catch up to us?
No,
Well, actually, yeah,
we don't have to worry about them more.
Yeah, you may not have heard this because it was in the time where there were some audio difficulties, but um, essentially the like the situation has developed in such a way that the captain has seen fit to reduce speed, so the pursuit may be off at this point. You are now at a cruising speed instead of maximum warp, so that's
Great.
part of the reason you've been able to regenerate power.
Okay.
So yeah, are we gonna have that meeting then? Is that GM?
I think that we could. Before we do, is there anything else that anyone would want to do in the next few hours?
I want to grab Saral and I want to look at one of our probes and see if I could rig it as a decoy.
That'd definitely be possible.
Essentially, put a battery on it so that it has a little bit more energy, and we could fake the Aegis's signature. It wouldn't work for too long, but it might give us a out if there's a bad situation.
Basically, a footprint magnification system.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so as the rest of the team is able to take over the engine repairs at a certain point, Romanov starts moving over. We'll say that there's more like a lab setup where you order in one of the probes, and I guess yeah, you can ask in character if you wish, or Saral can just follow along. However it
Yes.
works.
Well, we're both in engineering, so I'll go. Saral, would you be willing to help me work on a probe? I have an idea to create a decoy.
Come again?
I want to take one of the probes. I want to rig it to create a decoy for us if we have to ditch a bad situation and we need a little bit of breathing room.
Well, might work at extreme sensor range, but as soon as they get closer, I don't think we can do much to fool them.
No, that's it. It only works. It only works at distance, but it could give us a critical bit of time that allows us to get out of a bad situation.
Yeah, that should definitely be possible.
Okay. So we will go work in one of the engineering labs on that.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you make your way to one of the labs. A probe is brought down, and varied bits of equipment are arrayed around you. Some supplemental power packs, possibly even a second probe that might have a small reactor, which, if you could find some way to rig it, would help give it the added sort of boost there.
Well, that's why I wanted Thrall here, because he's really good at this kind of stuff.
Mm.
He's done a lot of jury rigging and setting up of things like this. So I'm going to have, if Saral is willing, she'll look over. I was going to have you rig this part of it, and then I'll fine tune the thing with the right parameters to look like the Aegis from a distance.
Yeah, works for me.
Okay.
Well,
You're first then, sir.
did you just want to did you want to go straight for making some rolls here, or did you want to have any conversation beforehand?
Seems pretty straightforward, to be honest. Not sure.
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. I will send a quick text message up through the system to the captain, who's probably at their chair, and just let the skipper know I am rigging a possible decoy. Only works at distance.
That report will at least make it to the bridge, though that information isn't going to make it in right away. But yeah, I guess just as a first task here, I'll ask you to start looking it out. Well, let's see here.
In terms of the role, I'm going to assist Saral, and then Saral assists me. So
Certainly. This would fall under creating an advantage for sure, um, which because you're trying to go for. So I'm going to set basically the minimum threshold for success here will be a 2, but in order to max out at the result, you're going to have it would require, like you could go as high as, let's say, um, what was I thinking? I think 4 successes would apply essentially for the maximum here.
Here's a thought.
Yes.
Since could I apply the talent rocks into replicators?
Oh, that is one that we don't see very often, but I
mean, it
think
destroys one piece of technology to create another. The solution is only temporary, so it doesn't last like definitely. Obviously, I think it's usually just about the scene. But since we're taking the not torpedo, but the probe apart and repurposing it, the only issue with that is that there is no role or anything associated with it. So it's kind of in your judgment how far we can get with that.
Yeah, you know what? I think I would just be willing to use that in order to bypass any rolls here. Um, and this will essentially this will give you a small decoy probe that, functionally speaking, could, if it works properly, the Aegis would be it would be indistinguishable. Words today. I'm going to start that one more time here. This probe would be indistinguishable from the Aegis by use of that talent. At least possibly as far out as long range, or like long relative to the zone, so it could actually, provided it lasts long enough, the probe could be mistaken for the Aegis at least by like subspace readouts, even in the same star system.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm going to give something. I'm going to give Saral something else. I'm going to download non-sensitive comm traffic, emanations from our ship. Nothing critical, but just a little extra. And we already know a probe does have communication capacity because it communicates with the ship. So I'm just going to set up a little buffer with data that just kind of goes on a loop, which looks like comm chatter from the ship, maybe an attempt to contact Starfleet. Again, it won't work close up, but hey, if it makes it a little bit more believable at long range, it maybe buys us that critical time that we want if we are trying to hide.
Because this is basically, the talent doesn't necessarily require a roll for this, I'd say that, yeah, this will just be something that you find a sundry sort of bits of comm traffic that would give this the impression of something like that. You wind up, let's see, you would wind up definitely finding a few bits of standard updates, maybe a few civilian-related transmissions. At some point, somebody seems to have downloaded a compilation of adorable Andorian Yuggy videos, which, as near as you can tell, is a cross between a cat and a hamster.
Who could possibly have downloaded that?
Yes.
Strangely well encrypted who the downloader was. Must have been someone with a security specialization.
Okay. If the probe is found out and compromised, the last thing it transmits to the enemy
I
is
can just see the scene in the Tellarite ship. Captain, we have been fooled. It was a probe all along with cat memes.
They try to outsmart us with the lol yuggies? Unacceptable!
And thus is the seventh war between Tellarites and Tandorians started.
Oh. Yes, the Icon has Gachburger. Anyway, ancient memes of the past. I will not subject you to those further. So yeah, you basically you get a good running start on this, and you think that before any point of an encounter, you think you could have this done. But I think by this time, information is, or rather, there is a call over the intercom. Senior officers report to the briefing room.
Okay. Saral, I'm going to request you come along too. They've been calling you into those meetings anyway, and you've been participating with engine and probe issues.
I thought I could get
And
around
then she
that.
pulls up and goes, "Isn't this one cute?"
You know, I never saw the appeal.
Gotta look at him more, Saral.
See, that proves Saral is a monster.
So, the the remainder of the players, we'll say Eula, Romanov, Saral, and Lambeth all arrive um, outside of the briefing room at roughly the same time. Some of you came from further distances, but we'll say Shira and Lambeth were wrapping up some of their respective duties. Um, and when you come in, you'll find Sharp and Patel are already there. I will leave Panda to describe how Sharp is looking. Patel looks practically like grayed, like sort of like he has something of an ashen expression at this point, just utterly like the color is drained from his face, and he is very like Shira, I would say for your part, you haven't seen him quite like this since Alpha Centauri, when he was forced to take command of the Last
Oh,
Away
dear.
mission. Um, but yes, all of you.
The captain herself looks as neutral as possible, stern, focused, and expressionless. That's sort of like stiff upper lip that a military officer should look when even when shit's hitting the fan.
The Picard, I'm calm even in the middle of a crap storm.
Yeah.
Well, Soral is not necessarily the most intuitive person. He has a lifelong experience with people purposefully not showing emotions. Do I catch any of that turmoil?
Make an insight, bitch. Let's see.
What is that insight?
Let's call this insight, and I think command is most appropriate, but I guess I could accept science as well. If there's any sort of sociological inclination here, cross-cultural observance.
Can I apply diagnostics?
I feel like I should go full McCoy. These are people, not machines, Mr. Saral.
Well, technically biological machines.
Semantics.
All right. Presence command for myself, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And again, it's not like Soral is like pushing very hard or so. It's just like, does he catch a whiff of anything?
Diplomacy for focus?
I don't think so. This would be more a composure type thing. Okay, well, you probably don't get anything as far as like Sharp's inner psyche, or like past that. You do all get the point of momentum there at least, so I'll deal that out to you. But yeah, Patel, you can go ahead.
Why does it feel so Vulcan in here suddenly?
Yeah. Patel, you can read like a book.
Yeah. For the captain just looks like definitely she's trying to be a good captain. She is being focused. She is focused, taciturn, and certainly keeping whatever personal feelings she has out of this, because she needs to be the person to motivate others and keep things going. Typical captain shit.
Yep. So, as everyone's settling in, any words anyone would want to share with each other?
Yeah, I will push a data pad over to the captain. We're working on a decoy.
Thank you, Romanov. She just slides the data pad to herself, but more off the sides so that it's not in any way an obscuration. Do you want me to start, or I guess I am the captain. This is out of character. Where was it? I know it's on here. It's on here. All right. I guess I can just read from the freaking thing.
You could flavor it as much as you like.
19 hours ago, the Ismenius on patrol in Vega has identified a patrol of 6 Tellarite cruisers, similar to the one we just met, no more than a few light years out. Reports have been coming in since then. A grand total of 6 groupings have been reported in the last ever since then, up to and including 30 Tellarite starships from frigates to cruisers. They're all concentrating along the frontier. 2 located near a binary star system, no more than 7.2 light years from Sol, and the others are scattered along in empty space. She hits the main display to show this stuff in star charts and like.
Yeah. It's all basically. So if you think of, well, very specifically, the database shows, and I'll have Patel jump in. The orientation of these forces, it's, well, if you were looking at just a flat star map, it would be a lot of areas due galactic west of us, but the more precise phrasing would be in the orientation of the Cygnus constellation.
We are unsure about the precise objectives of these maneuvers, but Joint Command, much like everyone else, and I'm sure now the rest of you, are concerned of what exactly they are preparing for. Such positions can be used to cut off several trade routes. She presses a button to show the various trade routes from Denobula, Ithin, and dozen of Terran colonies. Easily they can, and she gestures to easily they can cut off Terra Nova, Altair 6, and Vega. She will measure the expression of everybody. How's everybody feeling?
Well, is anybody visibly reacting to this news?
Yeah, Leska looks pretty shocked at this, but she's dealing with it.
Okay. Anyone else?
How's Lambeth taking it? Doctor? Do we lose Ben?
Oh, Ben, just...
Ben should be back.
Yep, I'm back. Sorry, I muted myself when I
Yeah.
left, and I forgot to unmute myself.
No worries. How's
what was
Dr.
did
Lambeth taking it?
Vega got mentioned? Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a number of major colonies that are in range of any action from these ship groupings.
Yeah, that's gonna make him get a bit like solemn and melancholy or whatever, and like contemplative or whatever.
Yeah.
It's gonna make him start thinking about his past and stuff.
How's Shira taking it?
Gonna stay quiet.
Looking at it curiously, looking at the placement of the Tellarite forces and clearly trying to figure out what's going on.
And Saral?
Give me an insight bit, nah, God. I think there's. It's not really worried, but you could probably. I feel like you know him enough by now that the thoughts it's like, number one, should I be hearing this right now? And secondly, is my shuttle actually? Can I?
Can you just go? Can you just go?
I seem like really bad timing with like where I am at certain times. Like, I should look into this more.
Just Saral nervously looking around. Where's the nearest exit? What's the quickest route?
Not really nervous, but there's definitely like, really now?
Mild irritation.
Yeah, I think mild irritation is like.
Perhaps the most direct reaction comes from Connolly, who gives out an abrupt, "Holy shit, they're gonna invade!"
We're not sure about that yet, Connolly.
Yeah, it could just be posturing.
I mean, like GM question, the Tellarites have been in numerous engagements like over the decades. Is this normal posturing for them, or like pre-war thing? Like, what does this usually indicate?
Well, I also had similar questions, and you went to bed before I could get
Okay,
answers
never mind.
from Zach.
So
Is this reserves, or are they pulling? Or has intelligence figured out if they pulled like just defense for it? Is this like a slap together formation, or they actually pulled shit?
Well, this is not actually something Starfleet would know because of how little information they have on the Tellarites. So that was
God damn it.
deliberately. It's something that you would have to figure out on your own.
Would I know that? I don't know how much Soral would have paid attention to it, but he has been years like, I don't even know how old he is.
Give me a command and reason roll here.
Oh, why does it have to be command?
I suppose it could have been security.
It's either 4 or 2, so science and engineering or everything else. It's like very easy. Soral is very clear in his intentions. Investigation? Can I argue for that as a focus?
I would accept that.
Fantastic. Can I spend the momentum for a third die?
Go for it. We got plenty.
About max.
Yeah, come on.
Well, Soral, you wouldn't know that much about the exact composition of the Tellarite fleet, or really even have a general idea of it. You generally might see a cruiser or a frigate every so often. You give them a wide berth. You don't trouble them. They don't trouble you. But for the most part, over the past 50 years at least, Tellarites have been fighting mostly defensive wars. Very specifically, they've had 2 engagements with the Andorians. The last one being, I want to say, 30 years prior. And it was
Andorians?
it was actually fought over the binary pair system where some of the Tellarite concentrations have been detected, which I will say you do have a reference to a few planets that are in a sheet if you look at the handout section. Yeah. You know vaguely too the Tellarites have fought other wars in the past, but more often than not they've been the ones kind of pressed on the defensive, so
this is really fucking weird.
Yeah.
But it doesn't ring. I mean, again, since I'm not a specialist or anything, but it doesn't ring any bells like that's how the last war started or anything like that.
Pretty much.
I could try to contact the Andor Imperial Guard, see if they've got any intel on what's going on.
Certainly that'd be appreciated. At the moment, there's only speculation amongst command, anywhere from the retaliation for Alpha Centauri, the death of one of their flag officers, or the events of Zorn Station. Or it could simply be territorial ambitions. This hasn't been, as you all very well know, for the past 6 to 7 months. This exactly hasn't been new for us. But the current moment, as it stands, is that we only have 7 Starfleet vessels within any of these areas, and she'll load that up. The Lovell, the Ismenius, the Republic, the Kyoto, the Magellan, and the Essex. Anyone else is going to be far too away to
the Republic out of dry dock again.
Republic is still undergoing repairs at Terra Nova.
She looks to you, thanks to certain prescience, I suppose, because a small sardonic smile. It's capable of defending Terra Nova, but little else.
Well, those ships, none of them are really well positioned to do anything for anyone else. The closest ship to anyone at this point looks to be the Kyoto, and they might make it to Terra Nova, but there's no way we could get the. The forces that the Tellarites have, that's almost as many ships as Starfleet has in general.
She nods.
What's Starfleet's orders?
They're still working on that at the moment, and I'm sure we'll get marching orders soon enough. Yes, Romanov?
Options. This is bad. Tellurites have a tendency to back down sometimes, for all their, bravado and insults. At least from my experience working with boomers, that's, like you said, like people have said, they tend to stay away from other ships. We have rigged up one fake ship. We have other probes. We could at least create a phantom fleet or several ships. If their intel is good, they may know we're constructing other vessels. And we could roll in, with our communications officer's help, the communications that Starfleet had seen this coming and had placed ships in hiding. So if we go to one of these locations that is under jeopardy, at least we could buy time. But it would only work at long range in system, based on the model that Sorol and I created about 30 minutes ago. It's a bluff, and it only holds for a short period of time, but it's an option, so I'm giving it to you.
There's a small, she can't help it, but there's a small unrestrained smile. I appreciate the gumption, and certainly it's an option we can put stacked in our deck. But at the current moment,
oh yeah, no, this is merely a suggestion for an option. If things get worse from here.
She raised a hand. Thank you.
At this moment, Colonel, Ensign Creighton walks through the door and just gives you a very curt, Captain.
Yes, Creighton.
He hands you a pad.
She takes the pad.
Okay. Update is in the handouts.
Earth has been destroyed.
Earth has been eradicated.
God damn it, Cindy.
I need to refresh my shit. Okay, give me a second.
While you're doing that...
Crane's update. Crane's update.
Yeah. While you're doing that, other updates, Patel's like, well, I guess if we have the decoy, we could pass that off as another ship. Would be useful for an in-system sort of thing, like a decoy, or maybe we lure someone in. I don't know. Shira, this is more your department.
Patel, she was staring at a thing from when it looks up. Patel, what's the date?
Still August 1st, 2154.
She nods. It's a lot of things happening in one day. She shakes her head. There's been an explosion at the Earth Embassy in Vulcan. Suspected bombing. At least 40 casualties were confirmed, 5 fatalities, including Ambassador Saval. Signal intelligence also suggests explosion at Alpha Centauri spaceport. Unknown casualties.
What a coincidence that happens as the Tellarites start showing up.
And by coincidence, I assume you mean it's very likely not to be one.
Do we have exact timings on Tellarite movements compared to this attack? Is this... did one precede the other? Has
when
this
was
only just happened, or are we getting the news a bit late?
That's a good question, GM.
Crichton, whom you notice is, tell you what, Captain, give me just one more command and insight.
Sure. Command insight to diplomacy. Because
Not
this
so
actually
much.
applies. Oh,
It,
come on. All right. Sure. I'll go for momentum too.
Okay.
And let's go.
Okay. And enough to match, I think that while you can't tease out for the full level of turmoil he's experiencing, Crichton just barely seems to be keeping it together. Like there's maybe a slight quiver at the side of his mouth as he tries to explain. The word from Vulcan came in. This suggests it probably would have been hours ago. Alpha Centauri, less certain. Starfleet intelligence was still trying to clear things up, sir. I'm afraid we don't have exact time frames on anything. Permission to return to my post, Captain.
She just gives a nod. Empathetic nod. Go ahead.
Captain.
This is a lot, crew. And I understand that.
What was
all
attacked
this.
on Alpha Centauri?
Patel,
What?
who like the just staring over the pad that Colonel Sharp had sound the first time he's spoken since the news from Crichton dropped. It looks as though they hit one of the main, or rather, the explosions occurred over at one of the main orbital ports. If memory serves, that was a major hub for freighters. We probably we would have at least temporarily docked at it when the captain, Captain Barton, when he led us to the surface. Of course, we wound up taking taking things to the surface afterwards. But it's the one major sort of space hub in that system right now. Sort of oversees a bunch of gantries, or the orbiting gantries for the shipbuilding, early warning systems, like sort of a nerve center for any sort of orbital sensor or defense emplacements. It has a lot to do. I mean, could have hurt quite. There would have been hundreds of people on that station alone, and if it were, depending on how bad the damage is, it could have also affected any ships in dock, any freighters that weren't meant to be descend from orbit, the Vulcans that might have been there. Just
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very intense situation for a number of reasons. And certainly when we have the time, we can mourn for the losses that we've suffered. But at this moment, the rest of this crew on the ship needs us. And certainly the colonies need us. We need to do our best to channel the frustration we have and focus it toward our duties. Patel, or actually, no, who does? She'll do it, Crane. But she'll say, Patel, Shira, we're going to maintain a constant red alert until notified otherwise. I want you to create an extra shift just so we have backup and make sure everybody's well rested and sharp. Romanov, certainly work on that probe, but I need you to think up of any other ideas, especially when it comes to that engine and how best we can make use of it without sacrificing anything we have at the current moment. We got to use everything we can spare.
Yeah, let me ask the GM a quick question, because there's been an idea on my mind. Could we create a battery system to store energy? And could I heat vent more effectively off the warp drives?
I mean, you do have a sort of reserve battery system, basically.
Auxiliary power still exists.
Yeah.
We still have that.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering if there was another way we could. Could we have a game plan to shut down other systems that are using energy, so that we have that on call for the engines?
So that would actually fall under the power management task. You can, in order to give yourself more points of power, you can say that you are routing power from other systems. I think that that does come at some risk, or it does impact other system functions, but you would have that option if you say needed to see to it that you have more power for engines or weapons if you're in a jam, or just any functions that would need to happen.
Okay. Then I think that's what she wants me to game out, and I'll look at other options too. I'll have Saral looking at other options.
Saral, if you have any details regarding the Tellarites or anything in this region, I need to know and written out as thoroughly as possible.
I can stretch out some feelers.
Any favors, anything you need to pull, I need any options. As certainly, I doubt there's much time left for you to find a amenable hole to hide in. She said a small smile. It seems even Vulcan's not safe.
Space is big. You'd be surprised.
I'm sure. She gives a small, depreciating smile. Dr. Lambeth, I need you to assign any science officers that you feel would be best suited towards being triage and additional medical support if need be, and any other decks or rooms or decks that you need for further extended medical bay, and so be it, just in case of further casualties in the future. For the moment,
How much action are we expecting?
optimistically, nobody. Plainly, especially when it comes to colonies, as much as we can, but I can't sacrifice much than I can spare.
Right, so we might potentially be talking about taking on casualties from elsewhere.
She nods.
All right, I'll make sure we've got capacity for that at least.
Patel. She looks over to Patel.
Yes, Captain.
I need you to work on those sensors and any other further data. You want to make those scans? I am letting you make those scans for anything we can make use in the abyssal or any other region nearby. Consort with Soral here if you need further ideas or suggestions, something we can work with. We need to take advantage of any small resource that we have in this area.
Mr. Sorrell and I have been working together a fair bit recently, and frankly, he's I would give this assessment in any situation, but frankly, I found he's quite brilliant with these sensor systems. So, working together, he says, nodding to you, Sorrel, I think that we might be able to we might find some way to improve resolution, detection range, something that'll help us out here.
Excellent. She looks at everybody, takes a deep breath. We're going to survive this. We are, and we will survive this. I trust every one of you, and we'll pull through this. Y'all have your orders. Dismissed.
Before we leave, Eula will go to Alaska. Are you feeling all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I just check in because Alpha Centauri. That
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Well,
can tell she's got her game face on. Like, she hasn't processed it yet. She's kind of trying to stay in the meeting and solve problems.
But if you need anyone to talk to, I'll be around somewhere on the ship.
I probably will.
So as far as everyone else scattering, Connolly will leave right away. I guess. Um, would anybody else just be moving straight out of the briefing room in order to try and get to work?
I would grab Conley because I forgot Conley.
Yeah.
And say, I know that to some extent you're probably the most frustrated of us all, but I do need you absolutely sharp and ready to move at a moment's notice. Do any diagnostics you need to improve the thrusters, impulse, warp drive, whatever you need for better controls. But I need this ship as smooth sailing as it can. With your skill, I am certain we can certainly navigate through anything out here.
I'll do my best, and I'll keep these hands steady on the throttle.
She'll nod, pat him on the shoulder. Thank you.
And with that, he'll move on out. But yeah, I guess going down the line, Shira and Romanov, you are lingering a moment to talk. Lambeth, is there anything? Are you staying in here to chat with anyone, or are you?
I think he's gonna go down and start prepping stuff. Maybe.
She gave you permission to freaking start snapping, grabbing people from science.
Yeah, I'll guess check in with Patel and see who's. But before I leave, check who's available from science. Basically, how much slack they've got.
Yeah. Patel says, he doesn't expect that they're going to need anybody in the planetary sciences department right away. So for that part, some of those people, sociologists, a few.
God damn it.
Yeah, xenoanthropology. Ensign Stewart, he recommends very highly. She's come out quite well on many a crisis. So.
See about getting Ensign Stewart and have a look while I'm on my way back to the med bay. I'll go through some personnel record stuff to see who's got medical training in those particular areas of the science department.
Okay.
And see about grabbing them while I'm sending over orders to start.
You probably have that data on file already.
Yeah.
Like who has medical training in every area.
I imagine that Lambeth likes the personal touch anyway.
Yeah, like if he's got the information already, then he's going over it again and just refreshing.
I looked at your classified academy records and it tells me clearly.
Yeah. So Dr. Lambeth makes his way out. Saral, are you looking to speak with anyone else before people leave? Or?
Well, I would ask Patel if I can see the report.
Yeah.
Like with also like a glance to the captain, or if that's confidential. But I feel like we've breezed past this entire point.
Yeah.
For what now? What report? Oh, the report in general.
Yeah.
Probably something terribly sensitive in that damn thing.
I'll keep an eye on anything terribly sensitive, but I mean, the most sensitive thing would probably be our ship positions, and
it doesn't matter anymore.
yeah.
She nods. All right. She hands the tablet over.
And just skims and just gathering information. I'm wondering, I think wondering for the first time in Star Trek, is there like GNN, Galactic News Network, or something?
There
I
is
mean, there must be something of the sort, right?
there is at least an Earth-based in-universe solar system network, solar system news network. I actually way back for the Alpha Centauri crisis, the fallen star thing, I made a little bit of I made something for that, which I'll drop in the Discord here.
There has been canonically journalists in in the golden era or the high period and dominion period, but I'm not sure how further back that goes. I think even TOS there was.
Yeah, but
too.
there must be some form of news that you can just like frequencies you can call up on, or
I mean,
data banks
these
that
are
are
a number
accessible or something.
By ENT era. I mean, these are number of pocket empires, where they're all of them have either been there for a century or so, but still like nobody's really communicating with each other outside of distant trading. So I don't know.
Yeah, needed humans to change that, and let's not deconstruct it any further.
We needed
Yeah.
everybody to
I mean,
agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I guess the best you can do is just find the nearest alien news network and ask them. And,
Yes, it's space. You can
The-
talk to
Log into-
boomers and space traders and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Are you saying that there's ANN, Alien News Network?
No.
Yes, and they have a bitter copyright feud with ANN, which is Andorian news networks.
That's right.
Oh. I think the biggest issue is that for everyone to get nice, clear reception, everybody had to agree not to shoot at each other and not to shoot at probes and to have a common sort of information service, and that it absolutely wasn't going to be surveillance related whatsoever. And nobody bought that in the pre-Federation era.
I see.
Andorians
It's a bit
don't.
like the undersea cables on Earth.
Yes, yes, and nobody trusted them not to cut the cable
Fair.
with a submarine or what have you.
No, then I would just sift like all the information that I can out of the report, and then like shoot some messages into space, kind of reaching out to contact just what's generally going on. What's like the latest? Wait
Okay.
for that to come back, because Sorrel is kind of in the puzzle stage, because the Tellarites are making aggressive or posturing moves. The attack on the human embassy on Vulcan feels like, was that the Tellarites, or are the Tellarites reacting to that and then attacking Alpha Centauri? It's like this doesn't. I don't see it. Who's responsible for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there does seem to be a lot going on here, and your brain has obviously snapping into action. But
yeah, and I would probably also at some form try to get a look at the casualty list in Vulcan if there's any familiar names among them. I'm not sure if there would be, but
the one name on that list would be the Vulcan ambassador to Earth, Saval. He
was at the time on Vulcan in the human embassy.
Yes.
That feels awfully convenient.
It is.
Or is it just me?
I mean, Saval's duties did mean rotating a bit between Vulcan and Earth. This was apparently at a time where he was he would have been recalled at the embassy there, working on something. It's definitely very poor timing on Saval's part, and one might consider it suspicious timing if someone ascribed nefarious motives here. That is certainly a possibility you cannot discount.
Yeah. And it's probably also, which no one knows, but I mentioned it anyways. Like the last message he would probably send is just message to home, like, is everyone alright? She's like, probably pushed off sending as long as he could justify.
Yeah, we can touch more on it later on.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So, let's see. I guess with that, Patel would say, "Well, we can. I suppose. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sorrel. This is a lot to take in right now. But would you care to join me on the bridge? See what we can figure out. Improve the sensors and maybe follow up if you have any leads."
I'll send some quick messages to reach out to some contacts, and then I'll join you on the bridge. Let's say in an hour.
All right, 1 hour. And Patel will leave the briefing room. Yes. Would anyone else want to speak with the colonel before leaving the bridge?
Can I access the information on? I know that we've been informed. Can I look in detail on what's happening? You know,
On Vulcan or Alpha Centauri?
exactly.
Well, I'll say that, like as far as Alpha Centauri goes, that data is very preliminary, and it's only what basically Earth's long-range sensors and communications have been able to pick up. So there's, I imagine with the colonel's permission, you might be able to get some of that.
Sure.
But it doesn't give you a lot of details in terms of there isn't hard information on that right now.
When you start looking through it, she'll say,
I'll wait until everybody's done.
yeah, she'll say the details are still coming in, Romanov, and I will inform you the moment they get clearer. Every step of the way.
Thank you.
Romanov.
Okay.
No, she says Romanov. We'll get through this.
I know.
She gives you a nod and lets you go.
Okay. Anyway, so Shira, Saral, would either of you want to do anything else in here?
Nah, she'll head off to send messages to Imperial Guard.
Okay, start picking any intelligence you can get there. Gotcha. So, as the rest of them leave the room, Sharp, you are left alone for a moment.
She stares down at the tablet, looking at who died in the Vulcan embassy. And she'll look up, mute whatever recording is for logs and whatnot for the briefing room, and just sort of fold her arms on the table and just hang her head over it. How the hell am I supposed to fix this? Where am I supposed to do this? I'm nowhere near any of this stuff. It would be a good time if you can just give a little help, even if you do exist, still exist. She gestures up to the sky and kind of gestures her hand.
The moment you do, there is a beep at the comm line.
If you summon Q, I'm out. I'm leaving. Straight up. I just face through the hull and I'm out.
She takes a deep breath, collects her composure a little bit. Freaking being young again. She's under her breath. All right. And hits the comm. Yes.
Sir, message from command. Admiral Forrest ready for you.
Patch it through here. I don't feel like going to the break room.
Okay. And on the view screen ahead of you, the face of Admiral Forrest sitting in his office some hours later in San Francisco, where it is now night. Colonel Sharp.
Sir? Just stand straight. Yes, sir.
Well, I double-checked the reports and saw you were the closest ship. I take it by this time you've received the news.
One of many so far, sir.
Well, you've been on the front with the other situation, though it's hard to know whether these two are interrelated.
Seems a bit of a coincidence, sir.
Indeed. Ship status.
Morale is taking a bit of a hit, obviously, but I am doing my best to keep it going, functional, and certainly this crew has been through a number of ordeals already, so they can deal with it. We've maintained a high alert on a red alert at a constant basis. I've created a Delta squad, or a Delta shift, in order to keep alert status of all my crew functioning to the top measure.
He'll raise his hand at this. I trust your judgment on this, Colonel.
She nods. We're ready, sir. I'm ready to go. Whatever you need.
Good. Because I want answers. I want to know what the Tellarites are up to. I want to know whether they were involved at all in what's happened on Vulcan and Alpha Centauri. And I want to know why a man that, for all his faults, I considered a friend, why he had to die. But we can't solve all of this from our own respective positions. I'm bound on a courier ship to rendezvous with Enterprise, and we are making direct course for Vulcan. I don't care if the High Command disputes our authority on this matter, but we are investigating this to the fullest. While I am on that, I want you, as the nearest ship, take what means you have to in order to discern the intentions of the Tellarites. Do what you can to figure this out, short of conflict. You are authorized to defend yourselves if it comes to it, but this is this is the determination of an emergency meeting that we've just come out of with the Command Council. We need to determine what the Tellarites are up to and if there's any way to avert a possible conflict here. I will admit, Colonel, I've had some concerns about putting a Mako officer, particularly one with less experience than would have been than I'd seen as ideal, but your record these past few months would suggest otherwise. A measured approach. I hope you take this here.
I missed the last part.
No.
Sorry.
I will restate. I've had some reservations about assignment of a Mako officer so young, but
yeah,
these past few months you have taken a very measured approach to some truly difficult and unusual situations. I'm counting on you to give us that same measured approach here.
Yes, sir.
Good luck out there, Captain.
Forrest
out.
You as well, Admiral.
The line closes, and at this point, Sharp, I'm going to ask you to give me a fitness and command roll. Difficulty of 2.
Fitness and command.
Yeah, that's when you notice Soral behind you, nerve pinching.
Okay.
Allow me to just take a quick look over your focuses here.
Yeah.
nothing will apply here.
God damn it! All right, I'll use this. I'll use momentum to get an extra die, and difficulty is what?
2.
Okay. I'm going to. Do any of my values matter here?
I mean, I'll take a look at that too for these purposes. I don't think so either.
Okay. All right. Then I'm going to spend 2 additional focuses to get 4 dice.
2 additional momentum, that is. So you are rolling
actually,
a total.
No. I'll leave it 3. I'll leave it at my normal 3 dice.
Okay.
Because I might need it in case of critical failure. Let's go. 2. I'll take that.
Okay. There's definitely there's a very mild feeling of nausea or uncertainty over the situation. Even this, just the general aura of irritation as you go through this and try to manage the situation as best as you can. This is not ideal, but you find a way to keep your composure and just set about this. There will be time later to take a moment to breathe, but this is not it. You have work to do.
Focus on the past, not the now. The past, not the now. She's holding her breath. I've done this before. I can do it again.
So with that, anything else you wish to do before heading off?
Weird. We're warp drive wise, we're nowhere near Terra, right?
You're far away from both Earth and Terra Nova.
Frick.
Terra Nova's actually closer though.
Yeah. I will think about it. Where am I exactly on the star in the galactic map?
So I would say that you are honestly you're about halfway between where you are roughly halfway between Sol and 16 Cygni, which is where where Earth believes the Tellarite homeworld to be located.
Okay.
I guess I could refer you here to the Discord. If you check in Memory Alpha, you are kind of about in one of those gaps there. I'll give you a census.
I put a message in your personal Discord as well.
Yeah. Anyway,
just trying to think of as many options, dude. It's doomsday here. I'm trying to figure out as many options as I can here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially when command tells me to go into the freaking lion's den. Okay. I will send a signal. I will send a signal to the local means to contact my wife discreetly and see where she is, if she can tell me when she has a chance to. I mean, she's fucking busy.
Yep.
But if she's close by, I would like to have her because having a spook would be really nice right now.
Yep.
And I certainly put in the message, make it, put it in one of the secret sub channels of that it's a priority.
Gotcha.
Message for her. Yep, and then I get out. Patel, as she gets out.
Yeah, Patel will answer when you get to the nearest intercom. Patel here.
How close is that flotilla? Tellarite flotilla?
Looks like present distance they are still on parallel course, just about just under 3 light years from our position,
Any movements?
holding their course.
All right. She ponders her words and switches over to Saral. Saral,
Saral takes
Yes,
a
Captain.
moment as he has to get to an intercom.
Yes, Captain.
do you have any means of contacting within Tellarite, amongst Tellarite channels or so?
I have some acquaintances there.
Any of them nearby?
I don't know. Are there any nearby?
I mean, give it a week off, a week between sessions, and we could probably find something for you.
I won't know until next session, sir.
Yes. I have to look, sir. It's like
Yeah,
I have to get
fine.
into the Rolodex and just like.
Look into it. We have new orders. I'll inform the rest of the crew, the rest of the officers.
Well, what are the orders?
We're going to personally figure out what the hell's going on. She just closed the communications.
And with that, you walk off and set to work. And I think this would be the point where the music dramatically picks up, and we follow the Aegis going to warp onto the as they prepare to start solving the crisis. So with that, I think that is where we are going to end today's session. So this is where, for those in the archive, we are going to cut off, and yeah, we will be back next week. This 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on here. For those of you that want to catch up with the previous episodes, feel free to check out the archive. I suppose that's just for people in the Twitch here, but for those watching on YouTube, of course, you've got the archive at your disposal here. But if you want to join us live next week, we'll be happy to have you. I ask that, stop by, at least drop a follow, and that'll let you know when we're going live. But until then, this is where we're going to leave off, so I hope all of you have a good day and a happy start to your new year. Bye-bye.